My name is Serena. I'm a registered vet nurse and live chat manager with Kernow Vets. So really happy to be here with you all this evening. And let's just dive right in then. I wanted to start off by discussing where the veterinary industry is at the moment with regards to client expectation and demand, and the balance for practices in keeping up with this demand. I think that pet ownership, I think we've all kind of felt pet ownership being on the rise. It has been the case since about COVID time. It really peaked, and it's still been steadily increasing since then. And along with increased pet ownership is increasing expectations as well. So if we just have a look at what that looks like, back in 2016, only 15% of pet owners would expect a response from their vets within an hour after reaching out to them. This jumped up quite a bit then to 42% in 2020. So now we're here, 2025, a much more on-demand world, and it's logical and safe to assume that the expectations are even higher. So this is backed up by kind of veterinary practices, but also the Pet Parent Survey released a report this year, 2025, in which the respondents, who are all pet owners, said that they feel that, so 77% of them said that they feel text or chat is essential when interacting with their veterinary practices. So if we break this down a little bit more by generation, I think it doesn't surprise anybody to see millennials and Gen Zs topping the list for the biggest fans of live chat. 83% prefer this method of communication because it's really fast, it's efficient, and it's multitasking friendly, meaning it can fit in alongside, whatever they have going on in their lives. So if that's uni or work, dealing with kids, or at the gym, whatever that looks like, it can fit in alongside that quite seamlessly. Whereas in the past, for things like if you wanted to contact your car insurance company or call the bank, you might have to clear a whole morning in order to do that. People aren't really wanting to work that way anymore, and they want solutions that fit alongside their life. Another really interesting detail, and I think this is something that's a little bit more specific to the veterinary industry that we found, is that the millennial and Gen Z generations really value the anonymity side of live chat as well. So this could be something that, maybe they have a question that they feel is a bit silly or have a concern that they're a bit embarrassed about. So things like cost, if maybe they want to budget towards a procedure and get an idea of what that looks like, or if they have an appointment and want to know ahead of time how much something is going to cost so that they're not kind of caught off guard, so they can be a little bit more prepared. The other side of that then is if they have a pet that has been getting progressively unwell, and they've left it maybe a little bit longer than would be ideal, and now they are in a position where they really want to kind of seek veterinary advice, but they are afraid of calling because they fear being judged by the practice. We give them a safe space to kind of bridge that gap where they can come in, get some guidance, get some advice, and find the next best steps forward. The Gen X and the Boomers, these are groups that you would initially think might be a little bit more adverse to text-based services or web chat, but up to 45% are more leaning in and embracing these communication methods because they are able to give and receive as much detail as they like during these conversations. They can do that at their own pace. They don't feel rushed. And for those that are hard of hearing or have access issues or disabilities, it's a really kind of friendly way for them to be able to communicate with the practice. These groups as well find it very, valuable that they can request written transcripts of our conversations after the fact, and then that gets sent straight to their email inbox, and they have something to refer to later if needed. Okay. Oh, I think we've gone back. There we go. So why do people love live chat? Of the people who say that this is their preferred communication method, there are a number of different reasons for this, as you can see outlined, but they all fall under three main headings, which is that it's fast, it's multitasking friendly, and it allows for detailed responses. So how does our live chat service sort of stack up with this? We're very proud to say that over the last 5 years, our team has achieved a 97% satisfaction average amongst the pet owners that we've been chatting with, which kind of demonstrates that this is absolutely a service that pet owners value and is able to meet their needs as well. Some more interesting details is that without this service, 43% of pet owners chatting with us would have called. So this again demonstrates that these individuals' first preference was live chatting, with phone calls coming in second. And it also demonstrates that volume of people that we've been chatting with would have otherwise called, and then placing further pressure on the front of house team. Really interestingly as well is 40% of people that have had chats with us, if the live chat service was not available, would have done nothing further. So this could be people that are price shopping or maybe looking to register their pet. It could be out of hours, after work, that sort of thing. And if they weren't able to find the information that they needed on your website in that moment, they would have not taken things any further with that practice at that time. Um, which is really interesting. And it also means that anybody that was maybe seeking, triage, pet care advice, that sort of thing, that they, again, didn't get the information that they needed, and they weren't going to kind of take that any further with regards to emails, phone calls. If live chat wasn't available, then they would have taken their needs away from the practice entirely. Our average wait time is currently only 51 seconds, so that's per response, which is less than half of a veterinary practice's current hold time on the telephone. So I think that's in at 1 minute and 47 seconds, which is one of the highest hold times for all businesses, and that sort of includes per transfer. So if they get through to reception, they need to then go back to a nurse, and this is kind of at each station there is a hold time, and we're able to maintain a 51-second response time even while managing multiple chats simultaneously. Okay. So the live chat is also an inclusive method of communication. So inclusivity and accessibility, maybe at one time were kind of seen as luxury or nice to have features, are now becoming much more expected and must-haves. By providing this additional communication channel, you're able to tell your clients that you care. You care about their preferences, you care about their limitations, and that they can receive the same level of advice or care from you as those that are comfortable and able picking up the phone and speaking with you. So not only does the service provide an alternative, but it also does so while giving your team space to breathe as well. So this is a little bit of a win-win in that situation. Our service is not one size fits all. We adopt your own policies and practices. It's an ongoing service that we have with yourselves. We are an extension of your team. So we adopt whatever way of working you feel is best, and continue to improve as we come along as well. So it's not just about convenience, it's about team wellness as well. 92.8% of RVNs currently report moderate to high levels of burnout, and with only 37% of reception teams reporting job satisfaction within their roles due to low morale and high stress environments. So this in itself perpetuates a bit of a cycle. Clients come in with quite high expectations. The staff are spread maybe a little bit too thin. They don't have the time or the resources, and this results in basic needs being met from clients, but maybe not reaching those expectations that they've come in with. Clients then may push a little harder, become a little bit more difficult, raise complaints. And for a team that's already doing the best that they can, this then increases that pressure, increases the risk of burnout, and eventually the risk of, increasing practice staff turnover. Again, a bit of a lose-lose. So even though the team feels like they're doing the absolute best that they can to meet the needs of the clients, they're just overwhelmed and they don't have the time to be able to do that. And so the client isn't happy with what they've received, and the team members aren't happy that they haven't been able to meet those expectations. So it's just quite unsatisfying on both ends. Okay. So what is the solution then in that case? Our nurse-led live chat option is the aim is to help break the cycle. And we aim to do this by intervening and helping to reduce some of that call volume that's coming through on the front desk. This lets the front of house team then focus on the clients that are in front of them and those that are calling through on the phone. Meanwhile, we can also support the nurses with offsite triage, education on any kind of parasite control, nutrition. We can also, assist with post-op care advice, and this allows the in-house nurses to be able to focus on the patients in their care. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about something that practices have been struggling with for a while, and that is the recruitment crisis and the high cost of recruitment and maintaining staff. Um, Whenever practices are under pressure like this and the teams feel like they're spread a bit thin, the logical solution seems to be, to hire another nurse or hire another full-time receptionist. But this can be difficult to find the right people at the moment. And then on top of this, you had the expense not only of a salary but of advertising, the investment that you're making into interviewing and training. And then if you're stuck in this kind of cycle where clients' expectations aren't being met and there's difficulty and there's burnout, then it's possible that that investment could just walk out the door and then you're repeating the whole cycle again. So our nurse-led service is offering an alternative solution. So we are not here to replace the team by any means. We're here to support the current in-house team. And we can do this by intercepting non-urgent queries and guiding clients before they feel the need to pick up the phone, especially if that is their preference, kind of supporting them with that. We're also available 77.5 hours a week, which is coverage at a fraction of the cost of one full-time employee. On top of this, we're able to manage multiple chats simultaneously, which is something that no single staff member can do. So our practices are finding that it's making a lot more sense for them and it's a lot more cost effective to get a cost effective sort of scalable solution that helps support the team, which helps reduce burnout while also meeting those client expectations at the same time. So like I mentioned, in practice, when there's in high pressure moments, times when the practice is very busy, it's very easy and it's kind of a default for the practice team to prioritize these immediate urgent tasks, which meet the client's basic expectations, but miss opportunities for education or promotion. So an example of this is if say a client calls through and they want to check the price of a puppy vaccination, receptionist answers the phone and then the other phone starts ringing and then there's somebody waiting in the queue to pay and somebody behind them. They do want to meet those clients' needs and provide that price for them, but that might be all that they're able to do in that moment because they need to kind of wrap it up quickly, move on to the next person, make sure that the day continues to run smoothly, that nobody's left waiting too long. And they are able to meet those basic needs, but those opportunities, those extra touches to build support and client loyalty sometimes have to fall by the wayside. And it's not because the teams don't want to have these interactions or because they don't have the knowledge or skills. They just simply don't have the time. But on our side, if a client was to come in to the chat and ask us for the price of a puppy vaccination, our team would, ask them how their puppy's settling in. We'll be able to find out what vaccinations they've already had. Is it compatible with what is in the practice? Provide some advice on the timing of those vaccinations, advice for in between, and then see if there's anything else that they'd like to discuss as a new puppy owner. So things like behavior, nutrition, neutering, parasite control, and just making sure that they're kind of getting all of their needs met with, not feeling hurried and just feeling like, really valuable communication that they can go away feeling like they've got everything that they need. So another benefit to the service is that we are available out of hours. So we run from 7 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. So often before your practice opens and after your practice closes. This is ideally placed to capture those that might be shopping around after work, price shopping, kind of checking out their local practices. And it can also operate as like a pre-screening for your out of hours service. So clients can come in with us, discuss what's going on, and we can have a chat with them and either escalate it and direct them as appropriate to your out of hours service, or indicate to them if this is something that they're happy to wait till the next morning. One of the biggest benefits to the service is that we're fully staffed and run by veterinary nurses who always keep the pet's health as the #1 priority. So pet owners do want to do the best thing by their pets as well. But sometimes there can be some apprehension if pet owners feel like there are only two options, and that's to bring their pet in or do nothing. And this is where this sort of Google pet forums area comes in, which can be a little bit of a gray area. But people want to talk to somebody. They want to have some advice before they do that. And if it's not going to be with yourselves, it will be somewhere else, usually somewhere like the internet. So this kind of bridges that, gives them that safe space that they can talk to us about. And they can feel heard, they can be informed, and we'll actually bring them into their pet's assessment. So it's not unusual for us to do things like send pain scores or ask them to check their pet's gums, talk to them about their history, what they've eaten that day, is everything normal, and really take the time to understand what's concerning them. And then as veterinary nurses, we'll be able to explain to them why a symptom might be concerning and what this could mean, and then give our advice for the next best steps forward. And if that is to be seen by the veterinary team, then they're much more likely to take this advice on board because they feel like you're giving that advice based on their pet's individual circumstances and the information that they've given you, rather than, coming in and saying, like, my pet feels a little bit, seems like they might be a little bit off. And if we were to say, oh, just book a consultation, then there's a little bit of trust loss there because they feel like you were going to say that no matter what they said. But in this circumstance, they're much more likely to, be compliant and take that on board and, understand a little bit more. It feels like it's a decision that was made together. Okay, so what happens in a typical chat? Almost half of all of our chats are resolved with no further burden on either the client or the practice. So that means they've come into us with a query, we were able to resolve that and close it off for them, no further action needed. The rest fall into a few categories. If the client has indicated that something is urgent or we pick up on something that is an emergency, then we will ask them to contact the practice or to the out of hours team, depending on the time. We may escalate more simple inquiries by emailing the team. So that'll be to whatever dedicated inbox you have. And this means that the team can kind of work their way through this when it's convenient for them and resolve these queries. And this might be, at a quieter period or when that second receptionist comes in. But rather than kind of encouraging clients to phone through and, adding to that call volume. And especially if it's a busy period, Monday morning, something like that, it's still pulling the volume away from those very busy periods and allowing the reception team to be able to deal with those when it's more convenient. Another option is that we may signpost clients to online resources depending on what's available on the website. So this could be online appointment booking, repeat prescription forms, registration forms, as well as educational blogs on certain topics, like whatever you have on there, we'll be sure to utilize. Um, and yeah, I think ready to move on. Okay, brilliant. Karis, do you want to pull this up for us and we can give a demo of a real live chat?
So can you see that now? Has that changed?
Yep. Okay, so this is just an example. So you can see down at the bottom right, this is our bespoke eye catcher. So that can all be developed in your own brand colors. Because this is a demo form, we have like just a tick box to make sure that people understand that that's for demonstration purposes. But these questions are all customizable, and it all depends on what data your practice would like to capture during this pre-chat survey. So chat starts, and there's automatically a message sent by the agent saying, hello, how may I help you? Again, it's all customizable. That message can say whatever you would prefer it to say. So this is what it looks like from the client side. Karis is just typing her initial message there, and you can see at the bottom right as well, there's also ways to send emojis and pictures and videos as well, which our team have found really, really useful on a number of occasions. So Karis is just writing about Poppy. So she's written, hi, I'm really worried about my dog Poppy. She's not herself tonight, very quiet and not interested in her dinner. Should I be worried? So we can see now at the bottom, so once the client sends that across, we can see that's been read by the agent. And we can also see when the agent is typing as well. So something interesting to note as well is that our team can actually see what is being written before the client presses send. And this helps us to pull up the responses and information that we need really, really quickly and able to send that really fast response. So our agent would have seen that she's worried about her dog, she's not herself tonight, and maybe already started looking up like consultation fees, opening hours, depending on when it is, just to make sure that we're kind of ahead of whatever the needs are. So hello, my name is Kaya, a registered veterinary nurse, and I'm happy to be assisting you today. I'm sorry to read Poppy isn't herself. So that is, again, one of the key factors of our service is that we always lead with empathy and we always make sure to use the pet's name for a really personalized service. So you've done the right thing by reaching out. Can I start by asking a bit more about Poppy, please? How old is she and what breed? So Karis has put through, she's a 4-year-old Labrador. And again, you can see that that's been read. And this is sort of like the back and forth. And again, we can chat, kind of have these conversations ongoing with multiple clients simultaneously, which makes it really smooth and seamless on the client's end. So thank you for confirming. When did you first notice the change in Poppy? About 2 hours ago. So all of these colors as well, all of the different bubbles, these are all customizable to your own brand colors as well as any of the sort of rating, pre-chat survey, post-chat survey, any of that information. Also the placement, if there is something, we do have practices that already might work with something like Pets app and already have that widget installed. So on like that bottom right-hand side, so we can move that anywhere. We can change what the pop-up looks like just to make sure it's all very customizable. So about 2 hours ago, she's just been lying in her bed. Normally she's bouncing off the walls. So Kai's just going to take us through a bit of triage here, I think. Okay, so it certainly doesn't sound like Poppy is being her typical self. Has she shown any other symptoms such as vomiting, diarrhea? Does she seem in any pain? For example, if you touch her tummy. So again, this is just like our basic triage. Again, we work to practices level of comfort with us, all within the scope of a veterinary nurse. So our agent will be on the lookout for any kind of red flags that indicate something urgent, and ruling that out is our first priority. So no vomiting or diarrhea. I touched her tummy and she didn't react, just looked sad. Oh, poor puppy. Um, so Kaya is just responding. So it's interesting when we talk about hold times and things like that is I think working on one side is very different to working on the other side. Bless her, thanks for checking. I'd like to understand if she might be in any discomfort. I'm going to send a quick pain score chart. It's a simple visual tool we use to help assess how a pet might be feeling. Could you take a look and let me know where you think Poppy falls on the scale? So if we have a look at that then, the agent sent through a pain score, which the client can then have a look through. Again, bringing them into that assessment, giving their opinion on their pet, who they know best, and just kind of objectively knowing where they're sitting on that. So the owner said she's about a 2 on that pain score. Being able to send and receive pictures is a massive benefit to the live chat as well. So um, not only can we send resources and things to the client, but we can receive pictures as well. So this might help our team to be able to escalate a lot more quickly if appropriate. But interestingly enough, it does have the ability to just de-escalate some client concerns as well. So I think I had one, a lady I was chatting with a couple of weeks ago that was concerned about, a lump that had come up on her dog's leg. Um, and I had a brief chat with her about it. Didn't seem to be in any pain or anything like that. And then I asked her to check the other leg for comparison, and she said there's actually one there as well. And I asked her to send me a photograph, and it turned out to be the carpal pad, which she'd never noticed before. So I was able to kind of explain that to her that, this is a normal part of the dog's anatomy. And I think this was quite late at night, so the relief she felt was definitely palpable. So it's useful in that instance as well. So thank you, that's really helpful. A score of 2 suggests mild discomfort, which fits in with what you've described. Have you noticed her drinking water normally? Any coughing, straining to go to the toilet, or eating anything new or unusual like treats, plants, or raiding the bin? She drank a bit of water after her walk, no coughing or straining, and she's eaten her food as normal today. So um, again, a bit more of a triage, something that, more mild discomfort, and um, it definitely seems like the agent is kind of taking the client through each step, and you can see that it's very interactive in the way that it's, like I said, we're leading with empathy. We are exploring all options. We're taking our time. There's no rush. We're more than happy to kind of discuss their concerns with them. I think probably just 1 or 2 more messages, and I think we'll probably have gotten what we need to. Okay, thank you for asking my questions about Poppy. I'm pleased she's not showing symptoms like vomiting or signs of bloating or collapse. That's reassuring. Based on her pain score and symptoms, it's okay to monitor her at home for now, but with some clear signs to watch out for. So Karis is going to kind of push forward to see for price inquiry. Um, and the agent has given some signs to look out for as well in the meantime. So again, this is a much more condensed versions of the conversations that we have. This is kind of typically how it goes, but it could take a longer period, and there's no cap to the length of chats that we have with clients. In fact, some are well over an hour long, and there's no additional cost for that. That's included as that counts as one chat. But we're more than happy to do that, see it through to the end, and make sure that we've kind of fully met all of their needs. So the out of hours consultation fee is £175 with any treatment or diagnostics added on top. So just kind of gone through the pricing of that, set the expectations, and given some advice for tonight, as well as what to do if there are any further issues. So thanks to You Take Pet Plan Insurance. Again, this is something that we work with on veterinary practices to understand what all of their policies and procedures are so we can implement them. As vet nurses, we're very knowledgeable on how insurance works, and how those claims are processed within a veterinary practice, so we can advise on that for as much as the practice is comfortable for us to do so. Yes, we accept pet plan. If you do need to bring your own, just have your policy details handy and we can help guide you through the claims process. So as you can see, like a really valuable back and forth, the client's able to kind of get that reassurance. They know what's concerning and what to look out for, what to do next. They have expectations on pricing, so they're able to go away quite happy. Karis, could you end the chat and we can just show what the pre-chat survey looks like? So once a client decides to end the chat, and there is also options at the top right too, where you can, those three dots, and you can send yourself the transcript as well. So this is where we gather the information on how likely they are, what other routes they would have. Oh, we've lost our survey. If you just pop down, show more. Yeah, perfect. So how would you have got in touch with us if live chat were not available, and how likely you are to recommend it? Again, these are all customizable questions. We do gather some just for our own data, but anything else can be added in there as well. You can start the chat again, which will pick up again. All the chats are saved based on IP address. So if that client was to talk to somebody and then talk to somebody a few hours later, that agent would be able to see the chat that was connected, the chat that they had just a few hours ago, and be able to connect that and continue that onward with them. Okay, so these are our standard pricing. I know pricing is sort of like one of the number one queries that we get. So this starts at a tier 1, goes through to a tier 5, and the recommendations for the packages are usually based on sort of the amount of clients and the amount of website traffic that you get. So before we recommend a package, we'll normally kind of have a practice on for a month, see what kind of interest they're getting, see what level of chats they're getting, and then we can work out a tier package with them. But we can send all this as well to you guys so that you have access to all of the numbers. For tonight, for anybody viewing or attending this webinar, we have a really exciting exclusive light trial offer available. So what this is a chance for practices to experience the benefits of live chat, have that installed on their site without any ongoing commitment and without a lengthy onboarding process. So this would help give an idea of whether or not the chat would be used, if it's something your clients would use and find useful, and the types of questions being asked, what type of interest there is, and be able to provide fast feedback from your clients as well on what information they'd like to be able to access from this service. Again, that's 1 month ongoing, completely free of charge, no ongoing commitment. And we've currently got 5 spaces available for practices to come on board for this light trial offer. So if you are interested, please do let us know. Okay, so the light trial versus the full service. So just to give a little bit more of a breakdown on what the light service actually is. Both the light trial and the full service include chats with us, your registered veterinary nurses, Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. Full widget installation support. So this is, there is no kind of big downloads or plugins or anything required. It is just a line of coding that's installed on your website. And if you do have a web developer, we're more than happy to communicate with them directly to get that set up. Or if your website is something like WordPress, something straightforward like that, and you do have the logins, we're happy to assist with that as well. Again, it's very easy to put on, very easy to take off. You'll also get a monthly usage report as well. So every chat that we have is forwarded on to the practice so that you can review and feedback and just have a look at what we're chatting about. But at the end of the month, we collate all of the chats as well, and we provide a really useful report, which includes how long, how many chats we've had, how long we were chatting, the topics, the outcomes, and any client comments or feedback as well. So that's something that you'll get on both the light trial and the full service. We'll also follow with any of your client follow-up or escalation policies. So again, because we're not one size fits all, we're more than happy to follow through with whatever your escalation preferences are based on certain situations. The light trial service does not include the bespoke eye catcher and doesn't include the more detailed onboarding information, which means that we may not be able to assist with every client query. But this would be placed for clients as sort of like a beta service, beta live chat, live vet nurse service. And we would be kind of taking that feedback on board to pass along to the team as the service develops. So we might not be able to help with everything, but we'll make it clear to the clients and as I say, escalate as needed. So if it's something they come through with and you're happy for us to email the team on behalf of the client, we're happy to do that. It means that we might not be able to resolve everything on the spot until, again, we've had all of that onboarding information. Okay, so shall I hand back over to you, Karis? Do you want to finish us off?
Yeah, we can do. I'm quite aware we've run
Brilliant.
over, so if anybody needs to run, please feel free. Sorry, we did our times very well. But if anybody wants to stay and ask any questions, me and Serena are quite happy to stay for a little bit longer. If anybody obviously wants to try the light trial, either message like get hold of me, message me, or we also we do a 3-month trial where you get the first month free and the second 2 months paid. So if anybody wants to try that, which is the full service that Serena was explaining, where you get the full onboarding and the widget, you're also welcome to come back with that. And yeah, that's absolutely it from us. So yeah, if anybody has any questions, let us know. And if not, thank you for joining us, and we'll say goodbye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for coming.